Alright, here we go. Today we're gonna work on the wife's car. Just do a pretty simple oil change. We start by popping this cover off. Put that over there. We got our oil fill, our dipstick. Way down in there, got the oil filter. To get to that, we got to get underneath the car and pull that cover off. It's like three little thumb screws under here. They got to pop off, and there's one of them. The other one's over there. I lied. There's 4 of them. It's pretty easy to get off. Well, maybe it is only 3. Alright. It is 3. Third one's over here on the passenger side. Right there. And that pops off. Slide it down out of the way. It's a lot harder to get back on. Okay, now we're gonna put some chocks under the wheel for safety, because I gotta use the jack to jack it up a little bit due to this thing sits so low to the ground. After you get it jacked up, put a jack stand under for safety. Grab your 15mm socket. And get under here and get on the nut. Break it loose. Pop the bolt out. Drain the oil. And as you can see, this Ford was engineered properly. Oil filter's right here. I can reach it with my hand. I should be able to unspin it by hand after the oil gets done draining out. I don't think my oil pan will catch both. You can see I wrote the mileage on it when I changed it last. I like to do that. If I can't get it loose, I got a couple different type of pliers to get that off. Okay, I was able to break that loose and drain a bolt at the same time. Still dripping out of there a little bit. A little more light down here. Just unspin it. Dump it into the drain box. Double checked. Make sure the rubber seal, which is right there, came off with the filter before you put your new filter up there. Sometimes they like to stick. Always have a good rag handy to clean your hands off, because you're going to get a little oil on them. Even with the gloves, it's a good idea to clean your hands off so you don't slip and bash your hand or something along those lines. I got a new Fram oil filter. And since I had this car, I've always done Royal Purple 5W30, because that's what it calls for. But this car's only ever had Royal Purple in it since the first oil change after the factory oil drained, and so far it's done pretty good. I'm going to put the new oil filter back in, and you take it out. It's hard to do one-handed here. Let's rip the box open here. You can see the rubber gasket around it. I'm going to take some oil and put on that rubber gasket before I spin it up into position, and then I just tighten it down hand tight. I don't, maybe a quarter turn with your wrench or ratchet or whatever you use to get the filter off, but I don't go much more than that, because they will tighten up on their own. It's hard to get them off sometimes. Put your drain plug back in, obviously. I write the mileage on my oil filter, and then I have a spot in the garage that I write it down just for memory. And usually for this car, it doesn't get drove very much, so it usually only gets once a year oil changes. It's a 2013, and it's just about to flip over to 50,000. There it is, 49,984, 117.21. Get down here and spin it back up into position. A little oil. I'm taking it off up there, putting it around the ring. Spin it up there. And I'll take my tool and tighten that down and put the drain plug back in. So I just let it sit up there and let it drain for a little while. Just make sure I get every little last drop out of it. You can kind of see why they call it Royal Purple. It's kind of purpley. Pretty thin stuff. Could probably go to a 10W30 in the winter time. Or I mean in the summertime. But this is what is recommended for this car. It's almost like water. A little turbo 4-cylinder. You know, last year it got a new battery, so the other battery lasted a pretty long time. Or not last year, the year before. So this battery's a couple years old now. I got it off the jack stand. Now I just gotta put the covers back on the engine, put the cover back on the bottom there, which I'll start it up before I do all that, just to make sure there's no leaks, make sure everything's sealed up properly once the engine's running. And then I'll put that bottom cover back on, which is kind of a pain, but get that on. Good to go. It's like a 20-minute job. Alright, see you guys. No leaks, no problems. Purring like a little kitten. Just quieted down a little bit more. Now the oil's finally circulated through. Go underneath. No drips anywhere. No problems. There it is. Cover back on. Wiped it down, shined it up a little bit. Cleaned the battery up a little bit. Put the hood back down. And Mama's all ready to go again. Now we're all set with the oil change, little snacky snack. And you know, all these little tips that I learned, changing oil, whatnot. My dad was a heavy-duty diesel mechanic for the city of Kalamazoo, fixing the Metro Transit buses. So everything I know about cars, I learned from him. I've figured some stuff out on my own, but most of it comes from him, showing me, working with me, you know, teaching me how to do brakes and suspension stuff and oil changes, exhaust things. I got a couple cousins, Brandon and Mike, that are really good at this stuff. And, you know, Brandon helped me do the injectors on my 03. And I learned a lot doing that. But, you know, with a little bit of patience and watching a bunch of YouTube videos, reading some books, it's not that hard. It's pretty simple stuff. A lot of times I'm afraid of doing things just to, unless I'm doing them right. You know, I don't just dive in head first, and it kind of limits me sometimes. So you just gotta try it and see where you go. But anyways, that was a quick little oil change on the wife's car, and it's good to go for another year. See you later. Peace out.